Sean Rose is here with the stories making the news this week. Sean, what you have for us this time?
Greetings, viewers. Edrenka, this evening, let's take a look at Territory Day celebrations. So, of course, on Monday, we had the Territory Day celebrations, and among the many issues raised and celebratory points that were exalted on that day, we heard from Education and Culture Minister Honorable Myron Walwyn. And he called on residents of the territory and the political leaders to resist the temptation, if I may call it that, a temptation, of allowing political divisiveness to determine their support or lack thereof for issues that are of concern for the territory. Basically, he's saying the territory's political culture is built on a unified approach to addressing problems and not one along the lines of political affiliation. Let's hear him in this clip to ascertain what he is saying.
It seems as though you are NDP, VIP, PPP, or whoever will organize a new set of Ps first, and then Virgin Islanders second. It seems at times that our support for certain initiatives are tied to which political party advances the idea, even in cases where the initiative is in the best interest of the country and its people.
So basically, Walwyn is suggesting that we should put country first. Of course, this is something that many countries across the Caribbean can benefit from, this particular argument that he has raised. Put country first in terms of how you see development issues and other social, economic issues in the territory.
Well, certainly I think he's absolutely right, and it's something that needed to be said for a very long time. We are now in an era with the political parties, and everybody's vying for position, vying for power, vying to get their hands on the treasury to spend as much money as they can. And I think that we suffer as a country when we don't see the bigger picture, when we don't understand how our economy works, how it functions, what we need to make it successful, how we market our products, financial services and tourism. We don't understand how we build infrastructure to support those products, the Ministry of Communication works, how important our health is to productivity and to financial savings, how much money we spend on health care, how that impacts our economy, our social services, the need to help the less fortunate, our education system, the need to have a standard of education that is internationally based. All of these things are nationally important issues that, regardless of what your political affiliation is or your ideology is, I think one should be paying attention to those issues and wanting to see the best for the country in terms of its development of those issues. Now, we all differ on methodology, we have different philosophical approaches and so on. That's debatable, and it's fine to have those debates.
But one may argue as well that here in the Virgin Islands, there is no such thing as a political divide, especially when you compare it to other Caribbean countries where the political culture is deep-seatedly divisive.
Well, I concede that we are not as aggressive politically to the point of violence. Even though the rhetoric being turned up, you can never tell when that would come. When you see particularly certain media houses, infusing some sensational headlines and persons commenting in ways that non-contributory to the discussion. You begin to see that aspect of aggressiveness seeping into the political
culture.
Yes, into the political culture. And to me, that is a dangerous situation to have to develop to its full potential. Then I think the violence and the divisiveness would actually really manifest itself. And that's something that we really, our political, in fact, as a people, we need to make it known to our politicians that behavior is unacceptable.
So the call by Walwyn is definitely merited, you would say.
Well, I support that. I was there. I listened to the speech. I support that speech. I thought it was an excellent speech and it addressed the salient issues on Territory Day as a national event that those things need to be said. Yes.
Well, great. Well, let's move on because we seem to agree pretty much on that from both sides of the fence. In relation to an issue of critical importance to the territory, that is traveling, particularly via ferries. We've been having a number of reports. In fact, you may recall that we've aired several stories here at JTV from as far back as 2012 to be more recent, really. And since then, the issues, that ugly head of inadequate ferry service continues to show its head. Now, on June 13, 150 people apparently, we were told that they went to Anegada on a field trip. But reports tell me that of that 150 people, most of them were children who went on that field trip to Anegada on June 13. And the ferry that took them there was Road Tongue Fast Ferry. They were expected to leave Anegada at 5:30 p.m. on that day, that Friday afternoon. They did not leave at 5:30 p.m. In fact, they did not leave until somewhere around 10:30 p.m. The reason for that, Road Tongue Fast Ferry could not return, did not return, and did not indicate that it was not going to return to pick up the passengers on Anegada. Reports say that Speedy's ferry services offered to go to Anegada and bring the people home, basically, both on Virgin Gorda and Tortola. That offer was apparently turned down by the said ferry company. And up to this point, no apology, no sort of information, no communication whatsoever is forthcoming from Road Tongue Fast Ferry. In fact, today we made calls at their using their online number, 284-340-3976. They said this number it's advertised as the number to be used for after-hour service and assistance. Unfortunately, all the calls instantly went to voicemail. So there seems to be a challenge there, even if you are traveling to or from the territory and you would want to contact the office of this particular ferry operator after 3 p.m., according to their official closing hours. Again, leaving so many children stranded on Anegada and not addressing the issue in a more humanitarian way raises a lot of questions. But it doesn't end there, and it is not unique to Road Tongue Fast Ferry or Anegada for that matter. We've had several reports of people traveling from St. Thomas coming to the BVI and leaving BVI going to the USVI experiencing similar issues. Late departures, missing flights connecting flights out of St. Thomas, having to find extra money to stay in hotels, rent vehicles, and the list goes on. In fact, someone wrote to the Premier, and that letter was posted on the BVI National Forum Facebook page, saying, the person's name is apparently Annie Kwan Law. I'm not sure if that is their Christian name, so to speak. But this is probably our last trip to the BVI, I'm quoting, as we can't even figure out how to get there. Let's end there for now. Shayna Smith, a Virgin Islander you would know, managing director at Smith & Associates BVI. She says she also aired her similar concerns. She says, it is as if, I'm quoting, it is as if we are cargo and not customers and catching a ride and not paying for a service. So you're seeing it from both sides of the spectrum, both local and international or non-local, saying we are having problems with the ferry service. What could be the issue? Is it mechanical? Is it human resource? What do you think?
Well, it has been a vexing problem for many years now, and I don't know why we can't seem to get it solved. It seems to me that if you're running a ferry service, you must know, as a management company of a ferry service, that the service needs to be reliable, especially if you're going to connect with international transportation, international flights to and from the Virgin Islands. If you take people to a place that's not their home, you have to make sure that they return. That seems that seems to me to be the ethics of the management of a ferry company that's supplying a transportation service to the people of the territory, to the international visitor. I don't understand why it is we can't synchronize the times. That seems to me to be a matter of simple research. Why we can't synchronize the times that we need to be at certain locations to transport people back and forth as we need. Now, the government, I see the government takes a lot of heat from the ferry companies for the ferry service.
And they've been having discussions.
Yeah. And I don't know and I don't know why people think, or the ferry services think, that the government needs to be looking after the private industry in that way. Now, it is a national issue because, of course, that type of transportation on that level, where tourists come to the shore through the ferry service, becomes a national issue because it impacts our economy. It impacts our general economy, so the government has to get involved in it. But I think the ferry service companies need to step up their management game. Provide service at a reasonable price, or whatever the price needs to be, actually.
But Speedy's Ferry seems to be doing pretty well. Not many complaints that I have heard.
Well,
from locals and visitors.
I think if you, and that's the point. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the point I'm getting at. I think if you look at Speedy Ferry service, even a cursory look, a superficial look, you will see that it's on time, it's clean, there's some amenities, it is upgraded, its infrastructure,
standard of service, yes.
It's boats.
Several runs between Virgin Gorda and
it's added services as needed, as the market demands. And so in business, that's what you do. It's market. The businesses in a capitalist society, in a capitalist system, is supply and demand driven.
Supply and demand, yes.
And so business people need to be paying attention to those things, so that they could provide a service and their businesses should be successful. Now, one of the challenges I see that have been developed is competition, and you have boats. You have ferry companies that's in a small market competing for a limited number of customers.
But bear in mind
that always poses a challenge. And if you need that service, if the country needs that service as a national interest,
yes,
then just like how we subsidize the airlines, a subsidy may need to be provided.
But bear in mind that the Provincetown 3 was added to the Rotong Fast Ferries fleet.
Say that again?
Provincetown 3 was added to the Rotong Fast Ferry fleet just recently to provide additional seating, 149 persons. You may have seen that white, huge ferry moving out from the Rotong Harbor from time to time. And that really came on board as part of it came out of the discussions with government and the ferry operators to improve or provide hassle-free traveling for people moving between the BVI and St. Thomas in particular.
Yeah. Well, we fallen at 10 o'clock, Sean, but I would say that if it becomes a national issue where we need to provide transportation for the tourists because we need tourists, everybody knows that, then as we do with the airlines, we need to make those contractual arrangements with the ferry service. But the ferry service needs to provide a clean, reliable service, comfortable service for the passengers going back and forth, particularly to U.S. Virgin Islands and the other islands that is providing the services for as well. And so we need to make sure that those things happen.
Hopefully sooner than later, because it is already hurting the local tourism industry.
Absolutely. Thanks for those reports, Sean. Very, very interesting and important reports, and I'm hoping that we as a people start paying attention to what's going on in the country and stop dealing with these superficial, trivial issues.
Country first, the education minister says.
Country above self. We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the BVI Tourist Board, and CCT Global Communications.